Hey, Kevin, it's a pleasure to meet you.
Hi, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. For those who do not know you yet, can you give us a brief introduction about who you are and how you first got into the Elrond Network?
Yeah, sure thing. My name's Kevin Lydon, and I am the one of the co-founders and CEOs of Helios Staking. I have been in the computer space, I guess if you want to call it the tech space, for quite a long time. I started when I was really young and did my school in computer engineering. I started a web development and digital marketing agency after this, which did quite well. And through all that, one of our big sellers was the digital infrastructure, being the hosting and the servers. We provided much higher quality than most of the other people, and ensured basically zero downtime and high speed servers. So logically, when crypto started to get on my radar, I started to get quite interested in the infrastructure side of things in around 2017. And I very quickly found a lot of the pitfalls. I never started a Bitcoin node or anything, or a miner. I did set up an Ethereum node when it was still fairly cheap to do so. But I very quickly started looking for other options. And that's when I came across the Elrond Network and their white paper. And I was like, well, this makes sense with sharding and scalability and all that sort of stuff. And through that, I then decided to take part in the Binance lottery, where I won 5 tickets. And then afterwards, I bought a bunch more. And I got lucky enough to join then the Battle of the Nodes in 2019 with 800 other nodes. And I ended up placing 8th place, where I think I was running something like 23 nodes in the Battle of Nodes. And I placed 8th place. And at which case I got reached out to by Sever and Lucian, and they asked me if I wanted to partner and be part of the Genesis validators. And I, of course, said yes, and Helios Staking was born, and I've been here ever since.
What do you think are the biggest advantages of the Elrond network compared to other blockchains?
The biggest advantages are, obviously scalability. The sharding stuff is huge because you add a shard, you increase more TPS, and it just becomes more and more reliable. Another glaring advantage to me was that it was being built from code base 1, line 1. They didn't go and take other people's code and augment it and cut corners. They built a product from the ground up, which might take a bit longer, but it becomes a lot more robust and has the ability to scale a lot more. Going into something that's already been built becomes quite hard to go back and find bugs in the old code. So you really need to start from scratch. So I think that was a huge deal breaker for me. They also, were talking about Visa level transactions, and then, in the Battle of the Nodes was actually proving that was possible. So the advantage there is that, the scalability, obviously, the transactions per second, and then the security side of things being, next level. So I think Elrond has a lot going for itself.
When you think about the different tasks that you need to perform on the Elrond blockchain on a day-to-day basis, maybe both from a personal and a business point of view, what would those be?
Yeah, so for me, it's being a business owner, and also personally with a portfolio that needs a lot of tax tooling and whatnot is one of the things that is most important to me. I really do feel that being able to accurately display my tax and account for my transactions in order to pay my tax and deliver the proper reports to my government in Netherlands for this example is super important. So a lot of the things I do is and have been doing for the past few years is learning how to easily and quickly account for my transactions, how to categorize them right, how to then translate those into my accounting team's language, and then have them translate that into the regulators' language. I really do believe that in order for crypto to exist, there's going to have to be some form of working with regulators. There's no way it's going to be able to just stay on the fringe, and we're already seeing regulation coming down in various different ways. So the tax reporting stuff is essential to me.
When it comes to mass adoption, when we think of the slogan of the Elrond Network, then onboarding the next billion users, what do you think are the next steps we need to take to get there?
It all comes down to interoperability for me, and providing services that people use in the real world. So fiat withdrawal, I think, is going to be a huge one. Being able to provide in ecosystem a way to withdraw your fiat into a bank account is going to be huge. A bank card, being able to have like the crypto.com style card, but within MyR. So like the MyR card, I think that's going to bring a lot. And then in terms of actually bringing in the next billion, I think it's important that we integrate some of the top 10 chains or top 10 coins into Elrond and create those bridges. We know this is being done already. The Battle of the Bridges is testing the Binance chain right now. But me personally, I have a good chunk of Bitcoin and Ethereum that I keep as a central core position that I just don't touch. But I would love to pair that with eGold. I'd love to bring that into the MyR DEX and pair all that and bring in more TVL and bring in more value. And I know there's a lot of people on the sidelines who'd love to do the same. Once those kind of come around, I think you're going to see a lot more people flooding into the network. And I guess the final thing would be just like the entertainment side of things. A lot of things blow up when it becomes entertaining. So we have a lot of games being built, but we also have the Kavari, the decentralized video app being made. And you might find a lot of people will jump over to Kavari because of its entertainment value and its pure ownership of the video that is made. So we have a lot of that sort of stuff too. And I think all that stuff together is in one word is interoperability, and being able to entice users from outside Elrond to come in. And why do they want to come in if they can't store their core positions or their core coins? Right. So I think that's where the next billion users are going to come from. Fiat withdrawal, I think, being one of the big ones, then the bank card. But I also believe, like you allow me to pair Bitcoin and Ethereum, or BNB, and I'll be, lining up to do that almost immediately.
We've already touched on the various advantages of the Elrond blockchain. But if you had to be brutally honest, what would be the biggest pain point within the network for you right now?
Yeah, so there's two. I'll start with the community side of things, and then I'll get into the actual chain. I don't have too many at all. I mean, they're not bad things, but I do have some criticism that maybe not criticism, just things that I see as a bit of a weakness. So on the community side of thing is tribalism and this echo chamber that I think Elrond's in. We're talking amongst ourselves more than we're talking with other users, other chains. And it's to the point where we've even gotten into fights with other chains and make fun of other chains for going down. And I think that's not a good thing. I think that's something that needs to shift. If we want Elrond or for crypto to be taken seriously, even for that matter, this tribalism needs to stop. And you need to understand that everyone's at a different point in their journey. And we need to start reaching out and working with each other outside of Elrond to build this. And I think things like that bank card and Kavari or, like apps that are actually going to make a difference are going to do that. But for now, I just think this echo chamber and constant talk with each other isn't really doing us any good. So, but again, that's kind of a crypto issue. But, the Elrond community being who we are, I think we can come together and, start working at getting better at talking to other people and not so much pointing fingers at other chains. It's kind of, we're all in this together. We all have a place. And if we work together and become interoperable, then I think we'll see huge things. Then in terms of Elrond, the chain itself, I have very little on that. But the one thing I guess, if you want me to be brutally honest, I'll take this opportunity. I've always believed in the voting system and like a DAO.
Mm-hmm.
I really do believe that the validators should have by now had a voting system, a DAO where we can vote on changes, we can vote on things, and together decide the fate of the network. Now, I assume, or it could be part of Phase 4, and I do know that it's being worked on. I just really do believe that just as a starting point, the validators should be allowed to start voting on things and bringing us to that more decentralized state. Most chains out there have this already. It's working well. The votes go in the direction that they're supposed to go almost every time. I've never seen it not. But I think it's just such a powerful move to bring in a DAO and empower us as validators just to start, and then eventually we can bring a DAO in for maybe the jungle decks and then Myar decks, and then start giving people a bit of a voice. Is something that I'm very much so an advocate of, and I have been publicly for about 2-3 years now. Even kind of just before Genesis, I said we should have voting already. But that's kind of my only thing. Everything else, I think, is going according to plan.
What do you think should be adopted from the sort of traditional business scene or sector that would add real value to the blockchain?
Yeah. So I've heard some people have tried this already in the past, and they failed. Well, they haven't failed. They just didn't really go anywhere. And I think they're still out there, but nothing really came of it. But I do believe that proper insurance and business insurances and stuff like that need to be developed. There are insurance companies that are insuring crypto companies or that are insuring a stake and all that sort of stuff. It does exist, but not on a decentralized level. Some of the companies that did attempt to do this very quickly got a broad stroke from the entire crypto community saying they're a centralized entity pretending to be decentralized. Because in order to create insurance level of underwriters, you have to play the game with banks and all that sort of stuff. That's where you're going to get your insurances from. So you kind of have to create this like these CeFi businesses in order to insure it. But I think when someone really nails that and creates a way for me to even just have accidental insurance, like if I accidentally connect to an app that is malicious and it drains my account, having an insurance that covers that would be huge. I mean, there's a lot of implications there, though, how that could be gained, but that's, again, not what we're here to discuss. But I also believe, insuring your stake, insuring your wallets and all that sort of stuff on a decentralized level that has the financial backing of the centralized world is huge. And then, like, as a business, being able to register my business potentially with a decentralized business bureau of some sort, business bureau or that sort of thing that then will check and report to my government would be huge. You'd have a time-based ledger. All the information of your business would be there for everyone to see. But that would also be feeding back into your government or into your own Better Business Bureau or Chamber of Commerce or whatever it is. So I think there's a bit of a really big area there to go after once. But again, this is something that kind of you need to work with the centralized entities a bit more. And I think the only way forward will be to work hand in hand in order to bring crypto where it deserves to be. There's no way it's going to make it there without the nod of approval of the centralized world.
And then the last question would be about the Maya Launchpad, which has had some great success stories with Holoride, Ethereum, very lately Cantina Royale. I was wondering, do you have any improvements or suggestions for the Maya Launchpad moving on from here? Is there anything that could be improved?
Yeah, so the Launchpad, in my opinion, has done really, really well. But I think it's one of its kind of biggest drawbacks is that they're only listing the coins initially within Elrond. I think there should be a multi-chain or a multi-exchange listing strategy where, HoloRide gets listed in MyRDEX, it gets listed, Bitmax or Binance, if that was even, you know what I mean, that sort of thing. Or there's also a listing out on Uniswap. So it's already, it basically, instead of the hype being all in one place, it's kind of liquidity all over the place. I'm not a believer in liquidity being all in one chain. I believe that in order for a coin to be healthy, it needs to have liquidity in many different places. Some areas of the world, they only use centralized exchanges, and they're bound to those. So you have, like India or North Korea or South Korea, like they have exchanges that they live by, and the coins that make it there get great liquidity, but they don't go into these other places. So I think the one thing that I do is instead of just releasing the coin on MyRDEX, I'd have it release on multiple places, and make sure there was some form of market maker in the background for the bigger projects. But other than that, I think the way the team has approached this and refined it every time, I think is amazing. Like they're doing a much more fair system than a lot of the others, and I think it's incredible. I just would love to see liquidity being a lot deeper and not just in one spot.
Kevin, thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it. Those were some great insights, and I'm looking forward to our next interview.
Yeah, thank you.